All right, I'm doing an oil change on a 2016 GMC Sierra 1500. It's got the 5.2 liter V8, I think, in there. And the way I do it is I have a piece of cardboard on the ground, and that is my way to kind of push things underneath the truck and then pull things out. It really keeps everything kind of in one spot, and then when you're done with the draining of the oil, you simply leave everything on the cardboard and pull it out so you can then dispose of the oil and put the tools away. Some of the tools you're going to need are socket, a 15 millimeter socket for the drain, a filter wrench, a rag, and fresh oil, and a light, and a bucket to drain the oil in. It holds about, I want to say it holds about 8 quarts. So when you drain it, you're gonna have, a good size, a good amount of oil in a bucket. So that's the easiest way to drain and catch the oil is just a regular bucket. Once you're done draining it, you can dispose of it in the same container. I usually take it and I'll pour it back in the same container, and I'll just drop it off at my local automotive parts store, and they'll take it and recycle it. The first thing you want to do before you drain it is just crack the dipstick on it. So you're gonna come in here and you're gonna actually pull the dipstick out maybe like 3-4 inches, just so you can relieve the back pressure on the crankcase. And when you drain it, if you do that, it'll drain a lot faster. And that's something that you definitely want to do, because it'll drain a lot faster. Okay, once you get underneath the truck, give yourself plenty of light so you can see kind of what you're doing a lot easier. And the drain is right here. So this is going to be a 15 millimeter socket. You're going to drain all your oil, into your bucket, and then you're going to take the filter off. The filter on these, for some reason, after 5,000 or 7,000 miles, whatever you go, it's a little bit tough to get them off. So make sure you got a good filter wrench on there, and you can easily get those filters out. I use Mobil 1 filters and oil in the GMC Sierra, just because I like Mobil 1 products, and I think they're like the highest quality ones you can get. So I would definitely recommend Mobil 1 or the factory OEM GMC filter is good as well. So that's what I use, and I think the number is on the side there if you're interested. M1212A is the filter. That's the Mobil 1 filter for the 2016 Sierra 1500 with the 5.2 liter V8. So that's pretty much how you're going to get the oil out and get the new filter on there, and then make sure you put the drain plug back on, and you should be all set. So this is the fill. You're going to take off the fill cap on the valve cover on the driver's side, and then I like to use a funnel kind of like this, where you get the funnel kind of closer to the side of the truck where it's easier to pour. If you try to pour oil, especially if you're going to use a 2-gallon or a 4-quart container, it's a little tricky to get that in there with a regular funnel, and most likely you'll spill it all over the manifold, and then it will make just a complete mess. So try to get a decent funnel that will take the job of pouring the oil back in the engine much easier for you. So you're going to go ahead and put a whole 5 quarts right in there, and then what I do is I'll check it on the dipstick, and then I believe it takes 8 quarts. All right, that wraps up the oil change on the 2016 GMC Sierra. And I know I've been saying it's a 5.2 liter, but it's not. It's a 5.3. So this is the Sierra 5.3 liter V8. And the final step was just to run the truck for about 5 minutes, and then let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes and just recheck the oil. You want to make sure you're within the low and the high range on the dipstick. And also, kind of an important part of this, you can put your oil into your original containers. So I've got all my old oil back in these original containers, and what you can do is you can drop this off at your local auto parts store, and they will recycle the oil for you. Okay. The last thing I wanted to mention on this one is they rate the oil in the filter for 10,000 miles on these. However, you really don't want to go that far unless you are seeing that the oil is extremely clean still. So the oil is definitely good for 10,000, and the filter could be good for 10,000, with the exception of if your oil starts to get dirty. So if you have oil that's starting to look dirtier than normal, you don't want to let it go 10,000 miles. So the rule of thumb around that 10,000 mile oil change point is every 2,500 miles or so, you should check the oil. If it starts to look really dirty, do not let it go, past 5, 6, 7,000 miles. Try to change it. That's my rule of thumb, and that's really just because, yeah, the oil's still good, it's not breaking down, but the problem is it's dirty, and when it gets dirty, that filter has a bypass valve in it, and if that filter becomes plugged, it'll actually bypass the filter, and you're running non-filtered oil through your motor until you change it with a new filter. So keep that in mind. Yeah, you can go 10,000 miles with the synthetic oil, even further on some of the other rated oils. You can go 20,000 on certain ratings, but you always have to keep in mind that the filter can become plugged if the oil becomes dirty. So prematurely, your filter could stop filtering, and then you'd be running oil through the engine that's not filtered. And if it's dirty, you don't want to do that, obviously. So just keep that in mind. Check the oil, make sure it's clean. If it's clean, yep, go 10,000 miles, shouldn't be a problem, but just keep an eye on it.